Hi, ladies and gentlemen, Eddie Marcus here again. You know, it's almost impossible to believe that there's a man in America who has a record of doing as many despicable things as you can imagine. A man who has broken the rules of normacy, the man who has just defied, hey, everything. Lies, he cheats, he steals, and he threatens to kill. And he became president of the United States with all of these negatives about him. And before he was finally voted out of office, they couldn't kick him out. They impeached him a couple of times, but he had some protection from someplace. But the people voted him out. And before he would leave, he got a group of gangbangers calling themselves patriots, worked them up to attack America through going through the Capitol to prevent a normal transfer of power. That's bad, ladies and gentlemen, but that is not as bad as it gets. That same guy had the audacity. You talking about Barack Obama talking about audacity. This crook has the audacity to get up before cameras and talk to America and over the world and tell people, in spite of all the evil stuff that he's done, in fact, that he indicated that, at least it's translated as trying to get his vice president killed because he wouldn't break the law to save him in office. And he stands up before the American people and says, I am going to run for president again. I want you to put your country back in my hands again. Man, you got to have some balls to do some stuff like that. Now, what if his situation was different? What when he came on the scene, he thought about, and not only thought, but actually tried to bring the groups together, to bring black men and white men together, to bring white people and black people together? What if he had spent his time trying to come up with plans that would offer everybody a career? A career that, if you're going to use money, would at least give adequate income that would allow people to have a decent life, a life where they can have access to education, their kids, and food, and housing, and transportation, and health care. I mean, what if he had tried to make sure that old people could have a retirement that really represent respect in the life that they lived amongst people that they have brought up to leave to the world, to see that the world go forward? What if he had spent his time trying to lift women up, to let them know how beautiful they are and how special they are, not trying to exploit them, but raising them up to his standard? And his standard was that they are as good as he is. I mean, what if he had done stuff like that? And then he walk out on the American scene, even if they voted him down, and says, I ask you, because of my love and respect for life, to consider me. I'm, I mean, see, if he had done stuff like that, he wouldn't have to be apologizing. You know, I'd like to think that, being a white man, if he had come on the scene talking stuff like that, I believe he would have been effective. Now, I say that because he's white. Now, being a black man, you come on the scene, you can offer heaven on earth, and they will reject it. America will reject it. Why? Because it's not a plan of white supremacy. It's not a plan of evil. Now, when I say, I talk, and I want people to know that when we talk about fascism and stuff like this, and all the different adjectives or names that we want to give it, the truth is we're talking about right and wrong. We're talking about what is proper and what is not. We're talking about righteousness and evil. Bottom line, righteousness and evil. Now, in our country, it's snowing now. And when you walk down certain streets in certain cities, you can see tents laying out there, tarps covered with snow. and go-karts stuffed with stuff in them, covered up. And there are people under those tents, sleeping out there just like they were back in the Western days or before then. And we call this a great country. We call this a society that has moved on up. We are not barbarians. We're not living in We're not barbarians now. Wow. But this is happening. And yet, amongst us, we got billionaires and millionaires and multimillionaires and people that don't have a thing. And yet, this is a system that we lived under, we grew up under, and for those who got money, they have been told that they are absolutely special because they gave in to a way of life that was put before them, and they were able to benefit from it. They weren't just able to benefit from it, they had something to offer that the system needed. What was that? Usually it's white in America. And it's something that if you're black, that they can exploit. Here we go. Here we go. A black man could have talked with heaven on earth and he wouldn't have gotten any attention at all. See, ladies and gentlemen, this is what it's all about. You can say what you want to say, but my story about the American public is different. I've gone to prison intentionally just so I can tell you that you're being abused, you're being exploited. And I can really, my friends, really prove it by offering you what you have been missing since this robbery has taken place. But it would only work if you want to hear it. It would only work if you're fed up with what you've had to go through. If not, then it's just a waste of time. So I thought I'd share this with you, ladies and gentlemen, that this man who had done all of this to this country and stands up before the American people and offer himself to you for you to give him your country again, says exactly what he thinks about you, the American people. He really thinks that you got to be the dumbest people on earth. That's what he really got to think, that you are the dumbest people on earth. And for anybody to even consider something like this to represent them, well, you know, there it is. Until next time, Eddie Marcus saying, wake up and be wise.